"We bury enough metal in caskets annually to rebuild the Golden Gate Bridge," says Katrina Spade, founder of Recompose, the world's first human composting facility. Her vision is simple yet profound. "When I die, I want my body to be useful to the earth." Imagine if we treated our bodies after death like outdated technology, preserved but disconnected from natural cycles. This revolutionary perspective on death care is gaining momentum across America, with 6 states now legalizing natural organic reduction, a process that transforms human remains into soil within weeks. Today, I'm taking you inside this fascinating process that's challenging centuries of tradition while offering a solution our planet desperately needs. What happens to the 2.8 million Americans who die each year? The answer might disturb you more than death itself. While we often focus on how we live, we rarely consider how our final moments impact the planet we leave behind. Traditional burial practices transform our cemeteries into environmental disaster zones, hidden beneath manicured lawns and solemn headstones. Each year, we commit 90,000 tons of steel to the ground, enough to rebuild the Golden Gate Bridge, alongside 1.6 million tons of concrete that could create a highway from New York to Detroit. The wooden caskets demand 30 million board feet of hardwoods, including tropical varieties from endangered rainforests. Beneath the surface lies an even more troubling reality: millions of gallons of embalming fluid contaminating our soil. These chemicals, primarily formaldehyde, have been classified as known human carcinogens by the World Health Organization. Mortuary workers face cancer risks 8 times higher than average due to this exposure, while these same toxins gradually migrate into surrounding soil and potentially into groundwater systems, threatening nearby communities. Cremation, often perceived as the eco-friendly alternative, presents its own environmental challenges. Each cremation releases 534 pounds of carbon dioxide, equivalent to a 600-mile car journey, while demanding temperatures of 1,800 degrees Fahrenheit, consuming enough energy to power an average home for nearly a week. Mercury vapor from dental fillings escapes even modern filtration systems, eventually settling in waterways and entering the food chain. The land consumption of death practices compounds these problems. The United States has dedicated over 1 million acres to cemeteries, an area larger than Rhode Island. These spaces become ecological dead zones, maintained with chemical fertilizers, pesticides, and massive quantities of water in perpetuity. In urban areas facing housing shortages, this permanent land allocation represents an increasingly unsustainable luxury. The financial burden intensifies these environmental costs. Traditional funerals costing $7,000 to $12,000 create economic hardship for many families, while funding environmentally damaging practices. This combination of high cost and high impact has created a death care system fundamentally at odds with environmental sustainability. While traditional death practices drain both wallets and natural resources, a revolutionary alternative emerges from an unexpected place: the soil itself. Natural organic reduction fundamentally reimagines death care by harnessing what nature has been doing efficiently for billions of years. Unlike burials and cremations that actively fight against decomposition, NOR works with biology, accelerating the very processes that transform fallen leaves in forests and organic matter in garden compost. The science behind this transformation isn't new or experimental. Think of it as nature's recycling system operating at maximum efficiency. The same biological principles that transform fallen leaves into forest soil, but precisely calibrated for human remains. The process relies on microbes that already exist naturally in our environment and on our bodies, breaking down organic matter at the molecular level into stable organic compounds. In carefully controlled environments, these microscopic decomposers thrive at temperatures between 130 to 160 degrees Fahrenheit. This sweet spot is hot enough to eliminate pathogens while efficiently transforming both soft tissue and bone, a key scientific innovation of NOR. The process requires a precise biological balancing act. Technicians monitor carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, and moisture levels throughout, creating ideal conditions for microbial activity while preventing unwanted byproducts like odors or methane. This careful calibration ensures complete transformation while remaining environmentally sound. Washington State University conducted extensive research validating NOR's safety and efficacy before it was first legalized. Their studies confirmed what proponents had theorized: human remains completely transform into stable, nutrient-rich material while eliminating pathogens. This scientific validation provided the foundation for legal acceptance in multiple states. Unlike regular composting that might handle yard waste, NOR is specifically engineered for human remains. The process manages unique challenges through controlled aeration and heat, accelerating decomposition compared to traditional burial that can take years underground with minimal transformation. The resulting material differs significantly from cremated remains. While cremation ashes are essentially sterile mineral fragments offering no biological benefit, soil from NOR is alive with microbial activity. Dark, dry, and ordinary in appearance, but extraordinarily rich in nutrients, capable of nurturing new plant growth. That nutrient-rich soil doesn't appear by magic. It emerges through a carefully orchestrated process happening inside what looks like an industrial hot tub. Ever wondered how a facility transforms human remains into life-giving earth without chemicals, fires, or elaborate machinery? The answer lies in a vessel where temperature, moisture, and microbial activity converge in perfect harmony. When a body arrives at an NOR facility, preparation begins with striking simplicity. The body receives a gentle cleansing and is wrapped in a biodegradable shroud, allowing natural processes to begin undisturbed. This minimal intervention creates a profound contrast with traditional methods that artificially preserve remains and interrupt nature's recycling patterns. The transformation occurs in a hexagonal steel container, a nature-powered incubator about the size of a hot tub. This engineered chamber creates the optimal environment for decomposition to unfold with dignity. The body rests inside, surrounded by a thoughtfully formulated mixture of organic materials, wood chips providing structure and carbon, while alfalfa and straw contribute nitrogen and beneficial microbes that activate the process. Many families participate in a meaningful laying-in ceremony that bridges traditional funeral practices with ecological innovation. Loved ones place flowers or significant organic objects alongside the deceased before the vessel closes, creating a powerful moment of connection and transition. This ritual honors emotional needs while embracing the scientific reality of transformation. Once sealed, the vessel becomes a meticulously monitored ecosystem. For approximately 30 to 40 days, technicians maintain precise conditions, temperatures between 130 to 160 degrees Fahrenheit, balanced moisture levels, and oxygen circulation through occasional content rotation. This environmental control optimizes microbial activity while ensuring pathogen elimination. After about a month, the vessel reveals its transformation, a coarse, soil-like material with no recognizable human remains. Technicians screen the material for non-organic items like dental fillings or medical implants, while larger bone fragments are pulverized and reincorporated. The material then cures for an additional 2 to 4 weeks, stabilizing into safe, nutrient-rich soil ready to nourish new life. The soil that emerges from these vessels isn't just the end product of a biological process. It's the first chapter in a cultural revolution. What if our cemeteries became forests and our tombstones living trees? As NOR gains momentum across America, we're witnessing the collision of ancient wisdom with modern ecological consciousness. Despite resistance from institutions that have controlled our death rituals for centuries, the legal landscape for NOR continues to evolve rapidly. 7 states have already legalized this practice: Washington, Colorado, Oregon, Vermont, California, New York, and Nevada, with many others developing legislation that signals a remarkable transformation in American attitudes toward final disposition. This growing acceptance reflects broader societal concerns about environmental sustainability and meaningful end-of-life choices. Opposition remains significant. The Catholic Church has formally rejected the practice, stating human composting fails to provide reverent treatment of our earthly remains. This resistance represents a deeper cultural discomfort with reimagining death care practices that have remained largely unchanged for generations. The traditional funeral industry, with its established economic interests, presents additional barriers. Despite these challenges, nearly half of Americans now express willingness to consider body composting with particularly strong interest among younger adults. The competitive pricing of NOR, typically $5,000 to $7,000, positions it between traditional burial and cremation, making ecological death care broadly accessible. The implications extend beyond individual choice. These cemeteries, like sleeping forests waiting to awaken, could transform into memorial groves where families visit flourishing ecosystems rather than static gravestones. These living monuments would honor the dead while restoring damaged landscapes and sequestering carbon. As adoption increases, urban planners might repurpose land currently dedicated to cemeteries for housing or community spaces, addressing density challenges in metropolitan areas. The environmental impact could be profound, preventing millions of tons of carbon emissions annually while creating nutrient-rich soil for ecological restoration, fundamentally transforming our relationship with both death and the land that sustains us. As we contemplate our final journey, the ancient wisdom "from dust you came, to dust you shall return" takes on profound new meaning through natural organic reduction. This isn't merely an ecological alternative. It's a philosophical reimagining of our relationship with the natural world. When we choose to become soil, we participate in a cycle of renewal that has existed since time immemorial. Families who have embraced NOR often describe profound comfort knowing their loved ones nurture new life. The resulting soil carries both nutrients and narrative, a story of transformation rather than termination. While traditional methods separate us from nature, becoming soil allows us to return completely, creating living memorials that bloom and sustain future generations. What legacy could be more meaningful than this return to the earth that once sustained us? Consider how your own story might continue in this garden of renewal.